Welcome to Dunno's Honest Aussie Reviews. Raining today, can't get out and ride, so instead we're going to do a quick review of different foot pegs for the KTM 390 Adventure. I've got the pivot peg, OEM and the eBay cheapies. Let's have a look and talk about the pros and cons. Okay, so I've got three different foot pegs here that I've tried on the KTM 390 Adventure. They all have their pros and cons, and there's a vast difference in cost. So I'll run through my experience. I have got at least 1,000 Ks on all of these. That's on road and off, quite a bit of off road. I do about 80% of my riding off road. Between them there's over 10,000 Ks on these three sets of pegs. I've switched backwards and forwards between them at different times to give them another try after I get used to things, and as my riding changes and I get better and go to different places. So I think I can give a fairly honest review of what's going on with these. For me, this is the big overriding thing though. This is my experience. Everyone rides differently. And you know, I'm not the youngest rider and I'm not the biggest rider in the world, so other people will have different experiences with it, but I hope this helps some people with the idea of with foot pegs. So let's start with the OEM. So the main problem with the OEM peg, and there's not much wrong with it, but the problem is it leans forward. So when it sits in the cradle, it sits on the side of the bike, it has a forward tilt. Now, to be honest, when I first got the bike, they came straight off as fast as I could because I couldn't stand the forward tilt. Now, I quite like the forward tilt a little bit, particularly if you're doing a lot of uphill work. Having your weight pitched forward a little bit really helps. Obviously it makes it easy to get to the controls for braking and changing gears and stuff. My issue for me, and some people don't have this because they have nice thick boots. I've got nice thick adventure boots too, but I find that when I'm standing, I like to stand flat, so I don't sit with my foot leaning forward. I tend to sit flat when I'm standing. Now that creates a pressure point means I'm standing on that ridge. If I had enduro boots, motocross boots, probably wouldn't be a problem, but I don't know. But standing on that edge, at the end of the day, you do a 200-300 kilometre day, mostly standing, and the arch of my foot gets too sore. Like I said, I've tried this on multiple all-day rides, so it's not a one-off thing, and I went around the block and didn't like it. And I've even put them back on from time to time to give it another go. Some people don't mind. Like, honestly, I don't mind. I got used to it. I don't mind the forward lean, but I can't take, after a whole day of riding, that pressure on the bottom of the foot causing foot pain. So for me, they had to go. But you know, you can get used to them. It's an option to stick with it. From there, I went to a pivot peg. Did a lot of research, and for me this sounded like the best option. I knew that it actually definitely flattened the peg out, and they are wider. If you have a look at the two side by side, you know, I went for the smaller ones. They make a bigger one than these, which is longer again, but that was plenty sizable for me. Now the pivot peg does exactly what it says. When it's in place, it will pivot some degrees, I don't know what that is, a few degrees forward and back. When I first put these on, I absolutely loved them. I know a few guys that have got big GSs and stuff, and they run them as well. Really good footprint, really good grip, very comfortable. Makes getting to the brake and the gear lever even easier, which I really liked. If you like to throw the bike around under you a lot, you know, if you're one of these guys, not for you. But if you're a enduro style, throw the bike underneath you a lot, if that's your style of riding, these are good. In fact, they're fantastic. They're also, I mean, these are free. These are about 60 bucks, and these are about 4 or 5 times that. So they're a considerable investment. They do come with a spare set of springs and all kinds of bits and pieces, so you can fix them up if they start to stuff up. And they're a really good product. My issue turned out to be that on long days, I had problems with my thighs, not cramping up, but basically like arm pump in my legs, just fatigue. What that comes down to is me and the way I ride, and I don't mind throwing the bike around underneath me, but the way I ride, and that is I found myself trying to stabilize myself when I wasn't cornering, and that stabilizing in the thighs meant that by the end of the day they were fatigued out. And again, this is not a one-off run. I put them on, took them off, put them back on, did 2 or 3 days, did double day rides, all sorts of things. But you know, took them off, did the same ride on different pegs, put them back on, did that ride, and they just killed my thighs. I'm not willing to get rid of them because I love them, but at this point in time, not my choice. And they are expensive. So someone on Facebook gave the tip for these, which is, these are eBay, AliExpress, Amazon, blah blah blah. These are a DL650, an early model V-Strom foot peg, and they do fit, and these ones are adjustable, so in that position, in that slightly offset position, they sit flat. If you have a look next to the OEM, they're about the same size, maybe slightly narrower and slightly longer. Right? Good replacement. The only issue that I've had with them is that they obviously use them for multiple bikes, so they give you different inlays. This little sleeve that sits in there so that the peg fits nice and snug means that the OEM spring for the foot peg will not go on there. It'll go on here, won't go on there. So I've used the pivot pegs springs. They work, not pretty, but they work. And I'm still in the process of trying to find springs that will fit on there, that are A, they'll fit, and B, they're not too strong. Apart from that, they're about 60 bucks delivered, I think, off the top of my head. They're a good, they're black aluminium. I've had no problems whatsoever, and at the moment they would be my choice. Basically exactly what I was looking for, which is the same as the OEM peg but flat. And yeah, as long as you can find a spring to fit, they're a very, very good option. Anyway, there's 3 different choices. There's others out there, I'm sure, but they all have their pros and cons, and I like all of them for different reasons. I hope this helps, and remember, it's an adventure, not a race.